game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Well, all right, everybody, it is game one of the 2024 NFL season tonight. As you know, we ride alongside of the Thursday night football games. I am GreenBean. Welcome to this week's Thursday Thick of It. We're going to have a fun night tonight alongside of what is now a delayed game because of scary weather. Everybody's so scared of the rain and the thunder and the lightning. Ask my wife. She'll tell you how scary it is. Me, I don't care. But they got to be safe, I guess. So 8:40 is the new start time. Now, tonight we're going to have a whole bunch of guests on here. I don't know where Gunny is. He didn't tell me he was going to be late. Dom is going to be late. Hopefully Gunny's okay. But we have a series of guests hanging out with us throughout the night. And we'll start the show with our first guest, the now world famous Conor. What's up, dude? How you doing, Conor? Welcome aboard, my friend.
Bean, I'm doing well. I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you having me on here for now the second time here on the show. Appreciate
That's right.
it.
That's right. I gotta get on your show. We got something working. Yeah. It'll be fun. Well, look, you're a great hang. You know, you're an impressive young fella. I was not half as smart or impressive at your age. So I was what you call a fool, Conor. I was an idiot. So so look, we're happy to have you a part of the community. You know what I mean? You're now with JetX and you get credentials and you're on Rich Eisen's show and everybody's like, wow, listen to this Conor fella, huh? How'd that feel to be on Rich Eisen, man?
Appreciate it. Well, first off, when it comes to Rich Eisen, that was like my third or fourth time actually trying to get on. First, like I've listened to Rich's show for a while now, and when I first heard they took callers back when I first started listening, I was really surprised. It's like, hey, Rich Eisen, he's the aforementioned Rich Eisen. He's one of the biggest names when it comes to sports media. It's surprising that he takes call-ins on his show, but I tried like about 3 or 4 times over that past month, and then I was actually working on a story for Jets X Factor. Was the day Marty Lyons announced he was leaving the radio booth, so I had my phone on hold, my headphones in, and I'm working on the story for JetX, and he goes, all right, let's get to the phone lines. Conor on Long Island, you're up. So I was like, oh my God. And then I go, yeah. And then I go right into Hassan Reddick talk, and it's so funny because first off, I didn't even expect them to post it on their Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, which they all did. But it's, the way it blew up, it was crazy. It's insane. I was not expecting half of it at all being.
Yeah, that became a national thing. Like that was everywhere, Yeah. It's funny because people were sending me that stuff, Conor.
Oh, wow.
Family, like loose family,
Yeah.
Football people. There might be a Giants fan or something up in New Jersey. And they're like, hey, did you hear this Jets fan? I'm like, yeah, he's been on my show. I know Conor. And it's just like, really? Oh, I didn't know. So, yeah, I mean, we were all very, we were delighted. We were proud of you, if we could say that. But Conor, before we get into, I want to get your thoughts, particularly about Monday night and what you expect and what your hopes are and concerns and all that. But the first thing I want to do is let everybody know that alongside game one of the NFL season for this year, we are sponsored by the favorite betting platform, the sportsbook platform, America's favorite in the entire country, BetUS. Now, you guys, if you didn't know this, there's a link in the description of this video. If you click that link, you will be taken to the website to be able to receive 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Now, one of the things that we're looking at right now is the odds to win the AFC. Now, just the fact that we're on this sheet, Conor, that's the real news for me, right? The Jets have the best odds to win the AFC East this year, just by a touch over the Bills. But here we are. We have the Chiefs plus 350, the Ravens plus 550. The Bengals at 700, the Bills at 800, and they have the Jets at plus 900. So the Chiefs are the faves. I think they've earned that, maybe. But all you guys, look, if you really believe this might be the time to go to BetUS, on top of getting your 125% bonus, you just might want to put something down on the Jets because the odds are actually still pretty good when they do win this championship, Conor, to take home a nice little gift bag at the end of the season. So I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring the Thursday Thick of It throughout this entire NFL season. We are really pumped to have them aboard. And I love seeing the Jets all over there. You know, they send me all these graphics, and the Jets are all over everything because it's our year. So thank you to BetUS, and we'll talk about them a little bit more later. But so, Conor, here's my first question for you, buddy. Who do you think? Well, let me phrase it like this. Do we have a chance in San Francisco? We're going against a Super Bowl level team. They got Trent Williams back. They got Brandon Ayuk back. And we don't have Hassan Reddick and, Aaron Rodgers, Rusty, blah, 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 blah. Do we have a chance on Monday Night Football against a Super Bowl caliber team?
I think the Jets absolutely have a chance to beat the 49ers they're beating. And, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for the Jets. We're on the 49ers home turf over in Santa Clara, California. The Jets are without Hassan Reddick. The 49ers did get Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams back, which is going to be interesting, though, because similar to Reddick, Trent Williams came more recent than Ayuk. It's going to be interesting, though, because they both missed the vast majority of training camp. How do they settle back in? I personally think they won't have a problem, especially Williams. Williams, yes, is older, but has that veteran experience. He's been through these training camps. He made it clear, all right, when that terrible news came out about Ricky Pearsall getting shot, he's like, I got to be here for my teammate. I'll hold in. And then they end up just giving him the money, and he's back, and he's healthy. I think it's a completely different story without those two players. I thought the Jets, could have been the favorites at the time while those two were holding out there. But I think a lot of it really boils down to the Jets' pass rush. Are they able to get after Purdy? And then also their ability to stop George Kittle and CMC. George Kittle is a matchup I want to look at because the Jets have really had trouble covering tight ends over the past. We saw week 17 of last year. It got so bad. Jets had to put Sauce Gardner on David Njoku. They got that bad. But I think there's, Tony Adams. I think Tony Adams is going to have the most interceptions on the team this year, and I think Tony Adams is going to be the one locking down George Kittle in week 1. And I think the Jets have a really solid chance to win this game.
I like it, and that's a great point. I mean, could you guys imagine if Tony Adams comes out of the dust from an undrafted free agent, kind of worked in slowly? We let Jason Pinnock go. We exposed him to waivers. He goes to the Giants. He's their starting free safety, all because Robert Saleh felt like he didn't want to risk losing this Tony Adams fella. He plays for us last year, made some plays, had some rough moments, but imagine this year, which I believe is year 3, he comes out of the smoke and leads the team with interceptions. Now, that would be some exciting stuff. I'll sign up for that, Conor. Now, look, we have a question for you from our good buddy E-Boogie, stream beaner, beanbagger, E-Boogie, one of the greatest supporters of the Green Bean Show. He says, Conor, what do you think about Michael Clemens? Cut him, keep him, trade him. Green Bean 20-0, LFG, boys. So, what are your thoughts about Michael Clemens? Obviously, we let JFM go. We lost Bryce Huff. So there's this idea, by some people Michael Clemens has to fill the JFM shoes. And there are others there's no way he's going to be able to do that. He's a Jag. What are your feelings about Michael Clemens, and what do you expect to see from him this season?
When it comes to what I expect out of Clemens, reverting to his first year with the Jets, his rookie season, he really was a rotational piece of this Jets defense playing on the outside. And I think that's what Jet fans really should hope and expect out of Clemens this season. The second year last season was not great. They asked him to put on weight so he was able to slide in his depth on the inside. That did not go too well. Now we're sitting here. Robert Saleh, the Jets coaching staff, seems to view Michael Clemens as, a Hall of Fame talent, just the way they've the way they've treated him in these talks over the past few weeks. I'm just joking there. The Jets though still have seemed to be very high on Clemens.
Ulbrich loves him.
Ulbrich does love Clemens. So, what to expect out of him, you just got to hope that he is a rotational piece of the defense like he was in his first year. And I think there's a chance. Robert Saleh's mentioned he's gotten down to that ideal weight, and they're not going to use him on the inside anymore, and he's basically going to fully revert to defensive end, his natural position. So in terms of cut him, keep him, or trade him, I'm saying keep him right now. He doesn't have much trade value. Cutting him doesn't really do much. I mean, who are the Jets going to give more reps there? You could possibly argue for an Eric Watts or a Braden McGregor, but personally, I'm keeping Michael Clemens, and I think you got to hope that he's a rotational piece of the defense. And there were so many fans that were hoping, oh God, yes, I want Clemens to get cut. When people were saying, oh God, what do we do with Clemens? They were asking me that question during training camp. I'm like, hey, he's gonna make the roster no matter what. Ulbrich loves him, like you mentioned, Bean. Robert Saleh loves him, so he made the roster anyways. Did he fully earn that spot? I don't know, but you got to hope that he's a rotational part of the defense.
Yeah, and look, you brought up a very, very important aspect of this whole Michael Clemens situation, which is he had a nice rookie year. He was a rotational piece. He had his impact. A lot of Jets fans, we liked him. We said, oh, wow, this guy's mean. He's intense. He had his impact on the game. And then they asked him to gain a bunch of weight, slide inside. It didn't work. They kept him on the end, and he's heavier and slower and the whole thing. And then they asked him to lose the weight. He never complained. He just did what the team asked of him. He's a team guy. And so we're kind of holding this second year against him when we kind of stacked the chips against him. So exactly. I think we should just kind of clear the slate. I think we're being a little bit harsh. Now, is he ever going to be, Jermaine Johnson? Probably not. But can he be a solid guy? I think he can too. Now, whether or not he, as the starter, if he's getting 60% of the snaps, maybe a little bit much, but we'll see. I'm a Clemens supporter until, 2 years as a flop, then that's a different story. So, hey, Conor, Gunny's here. So let's bring up Gunny. He reminded me that he told me where he was going to be. I just forgot because I'm old, Conor. That's what happens when you start getting gray. You'll see, buddy. Gunny, what's up, bud? How are you, sir?
Hey,
Gunny.
What's up, GreenBean? I'm good. What's good, Conor? How you living, man?
I'm doing well, Gunny. Finally, great to have. I'm happy to be on your guys' show, and I was early this time. I see.
Yeah,
hey, man, we're glad to have you. Yeah, GreenBean, you sent me that text, and I was just like, oh, he must have forgot. I was like, hey, I'm pulling up to the house right now.
Yeah, I'm like, you good? I was like, you all right, man? Well, good. I'm glad everything's okay, Gunny. How'd your daughter do in volleyball?
Not her best game. She and I got to have a conversation when she gets home today. I was a little disappointed in what I saw today. So not her best game. So she and I got to have a little talk after the show tonight. She's got, I think, one more set. But I was just like, well, listen, this has been rough. I'll just talk to you after the game is over because I don't think they're going to win the game tonight. But I digress. Yeah. They might shock me and come back. Nevertheless, her performance was not up to par. So we're going to have to fix that.
Not sharp tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. It's an opportunity for growth, Gunny. That's exactly what we say. That's what we say. You can't play at the top of your game every night, but it's what you do with those down games. Daddy's got to talk to you. I like it.
Have a conversation. I mean, you went out there, you put in your effort. It wasn't quite up to par. We're going to fix that up, clean it up. And then next week, I want to go ahead and see an improvement. She understands the game. She has an older sister who's very competitive, and she's seen her older sister get these talks, so she knows how it goes.
Okay, then so she's used to it. I like that.
Oh, she's yeah, she's used to it.
So, guys, this is the Thursday thick of it. As you know, the Ravens-Chiefs game is delayed, so we're looking at an 8:40 start. It's because of lightning and thunder and things like that. They got to keep everybody safe. We're here with Conor of JetX. What's your channel again? New York Flight, right? Isn't that what
New York Flight Jets Talk? Yes.
There
New York Flight. Yeah, New York Flight.
New York Flight Jets Talk. Conor, as you know, a very world famous Conor. Now we all bow to the great Conor, and rightfully so. So, Gunny, we are just kind of getting into some expectations for the Monday night game. We were talking a little bit about Michael Clemens, as you can see from E-Boogie's question there, and we were talking about a few other things. But I want to ask Conor, What's your main concern? What scares you about this game going into, to play the San Francisco's in front of the world?
Honestly, I think it.
Well, no, I'm asking Conor, Gunny. Let's.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, no, yeah. All good. All good.
Right.
All
Gunny's
good.
ready to go, Conor. He's ready.
All good. I think it's two things. I think the main focus being, I mentioned it a little earlier on, is containing George Kittle. Jets have had great trouble covering tight ends over the past few years. Are they going to put Quincy Williams possibly on him for a little? Tony Adams, I did mention, I think Tony Adams will be covering, but I think that is something, an area of concern for the Jets. But also, without Hassan Reddick, I'm a little concerned about the Jets pass rush. You do have Will McDonald, who hasn't shown much. You got to hope he has that JJ leap. You do have Jermaine Johnson, Quinn Williams, but I'm a little concerned of getting after the passer without Hassan Reddick. The hope is for Reddick when he gets here is to fill the shoes of Bryce Huff. Right now, we don't have a Bryce Huff. We have Jermaine Johnson, who showed, had promising play last year, but I think the Jets are really missing that double-digit sack guy. And then my other thing is covering Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. We've seen him as a dual threat. His ability to run both inside and outside, then also out of the backfield. I think it's something I think Quincy Williams will be, some plays covering him out of the backfield, but I those are my areas of concern for the Jets.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is scary. Now they're saying he's 100%.
He was limited today. I saw a tweet.
Yeah, I know. I still think that I'm hoping he's just a quarter step off. If they just a quarter step off, that's all we need. He's dangerous as hell, and then you add Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, all these guys. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. Getting Trent Williams back, I got to admit, I was hoping that just a couple more days for the holdout, just a couple more days, and people are, maybe hoping that he's rusty. You brought it up earlier. They did come in late in the game. Trent Williams, though, consummate pro, all pro level tackle. I don't think he's going to be the guy that's rusty. How do you see the Trent Williams return, Conor?
In terms of the Trent Williams return, I did touch on it a little earlier. I don't think he's going to have any rust. I don't think he's going to have any rust whatsoever. He's, he is 36 years old, which is, could go, oh my God, he's 36 years old. He missed all this time. But no, he's been through this training camp process so many times. I don't think he's going to have any rust. And I think it's a problem if the Jets are really relying on Trent Williams to be a liability. I think that's a problem if the Jets don't feel confident enough that they're relying on Trent Williams to be a liability as an X factor for them to win the game. So no, I don't think he's going to have much rust.
Now, Meadowland Swamp Thing says maybe you can come in as our new edge. What do you think of that, Conor?
Yeah, I've never played a snap of football in my life, but maybe I could, pull out a Will McDonald spin move. Maybe I could do that.
See, I think you'd be lightning fast. They wouldn't even get their hands on you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we are in talks to potentially arrange a flag football tournament up there, up in your area. So maybe if we do that, maybe you can play your first snap of football. How's that sound?
Oh no, I've played flag football. I've played like pickup with my friends or whatever. I like I like not the full size one, but the flag football balls where you could really flung them like 80 yards or so.
That's right. Everybody's a pro quarterback with those things.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so fun. But yeah, flag football, I'm down.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. So, all right. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about some specific players. Aaron Rodgers, what do you see? Do you think he's going to be rusty? You think he's going to take a little while to get kind of back into the flow? He hasn't played really since 2022. What are your expectations for Aaron Rodgers? You can say on Monday night, and then if you'd like, you can maybe give a season prediction, if you will.
I'm going to start with 2022. Obviously, his numbers weren't completely up to par following his 2021 MVP campaign. But, I mean, those were still top 10, top 12 numbers in regards to passing yards, touchdowns. He did have a lot of interceptions, which is unlike him. He's really been like a 3 to 5 interception guy a year, which is crazy. I mean, we've seen Zach Wilson throw 3 interceptions in a game. It's crazy to think that Aaron Rodgers has done that in just 1 year over his career. In terms of what I expect out of him on Monday night, it's really interesting. Personally, I was one of the people who wanted to see him out for a series or two against the Giants. In terms of rust, it's gonna be interesting because he's been in the league for so long. He's entering his 20th season. He's 40 years old. He knows what it's like to get hit, but still, you could say joint practice, training camp, all you want. You can never replicate that game environment. I was at the Jets-Giants joint practice. They were wearing pads, but still, it's literally like two-hand touch. The guy puts a hand on him. The ref calls him down. So it's hard to replicate that the game-like environment. It definitely, I think, did a disservice to Rodgers. Personally, people call me crazy, but I think it did a disservice to Rodgers that they didn't play him for a drive during the preseason. It's like I said, it's going to be interesting. Personally, he's 40 years old, been in the league for 20 years. I don't think there's going to be much rust.
All right, now how about what do you expect to see from Garrett Wilson? There's all the talk from Charvarius Ward out there. He's being a little bit of he said, the comment that rubbed me, Conor? He said, I'll be covering Garrett Wilson. That's his name, right? Like, what do you mean that's his name, right? What a disrespectful thing to say. So what do you see from Garrett Wilson? You think he's going to be like a man possessed, or is Ward going to be able to silence him?
In terms of week one production, it's going to be really interesting. What wide receivers does Rodgers go to? We haven't seen him in a fully healthy drive with this offense. So what does he use? Does he go to Breece Hall out of the backfield to start the season? Does he go with Allen Lazard? Does he go with Tyler Conklin, the tight? He's always loved playing with tight ends. Does he go with him? In terms of week one, I think Garrett Wilson could have a really solid game. I expect a receiving touchdown out of Garrett Wilson for sure. I think Rodgers is going to he's either going to throw two or three touchdowns. I expect Garrett Wilson to receive at least one touchdown. I expect a receiving touchdown out of Breece Hall as well. So in terms of week one production, I think he'll have a fine time against Charvarius Ward. I think he'll prove him wrong. But in terms of, if you just look at it the whole season, I think he has a chance to have that Brandon Marshall 2015 like campaign where he breaks every single season record in Jets history. That's how confident I am in G5.
Oh, I like that. Now, look, our buddy Jake is checking in.
Go.
Jake Aspen, everybody. 3 elite Jets creators.
Appreciate
on
it.
In an elite Jet season. Hopefully, that's where we are. I am excited. This is going to be great. Thanks for hopping on, Jake, and saying hello. We all love you. We want to hug and kiss your forehead. That's how that goes. But Conor, it is just about 8:30. So one more question. For you, Breece Hall. It's Breece Hall time. What do you see? Do you think this kind of the 2 draft picks? You think they're going to lessen his impact? You think we're going to run more of a committee, or is this the season of Breece? What do you see from our boy this season?
I think there's a chance, it's going to be 1,000 yards on the ground for sure. I think his ceiling's 1,000 yards in the air as well. I mean, you could call me crazy all you want. I think there's a chance he's in for a 2,000 yards from scrimmage year. What we saw from him out of the backfield last year, over 565 receiving yards, and then almost 994 yards on the ground, over 1,500 yards from scrimmage last year. You pair him with an elite quarterback with Aaron Rodgers, 3 new starters on the offensive line. Keep that in mind, guys. Jets had the most offensive line combinations with 13 last year, and even when they were able to keep a healthy offensive line for a few games, it was still 28 to 30 ranked offensive line in the league. So really poor play. Now they bring in 3 new starters. Tyron Smith, the most notable one, 8-time All-Pro. Breece Hall, like I said, I think his ceiling is 2,000 yards from scrimmage. I think there's a real shot he hits that this year. I want to see him, run some more of those deep routes. Obviously, we saw him kind of on those slant curl routes last year where he was able to get a ton of yak yards after catch. But I want to see him really run those wheel routes out of the backfield, how Rodgers could find him the ball deep down the field in open space. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah,
I think 5,000 yards from scrimmage, Conor. That's what I see. I think Breece is going to blow it up this year. But yeah, I actually do agree with you. I have a feeling Gunny does as well. But it is 8:30. I know our next guest he popped in for a minute and popped out. He'll be here in a second. But I want to thank you for hopping on first. You're a very welcome guest, friend of the show.
Thank you.
And it's going to be a fun season, Conor. So guys, don't forget, you can read Conor on JetX. You can also check out his YouTube page at New York Flight Jets Talk. Did I get that right, Connor?
You did, Bean.
And if you want to just see his national appearance, you can go find the interview on the call on Rich Eisen. That was brilliant. So Connor, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. Have a good rest of the night, buddy.
Of course, Bean, Gunny, appreciate you guys having me, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the show. Can't wait to see what you guys have in store.
It's going to be fun. All right, there he goes. Connor, everybody. So Gunny, we have our next guest here. It's going to be a little bit fast-paced tonight, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But before we bring on the guest, this guy, our other third co-host, has arrived as well. So we'll just say hello to him real fast.
Good,
That's Dom C, everybody. Dom C, the football scout extraordinaire, already working on the 2025 draft prospect list. So Dom, how you doing tonight? You good?
I'm good, man. Been all over the place. You know, one of those back to school nights, and when you got multiple kids, like, you got to divide and conquer. So
there you go.
They haven't kicked my little guy out of school yet, so I take that as
winning.
A plus.
That's winning.
It's 2 weeks.
That's a bonus. Yeah, there you go.
That's right. So
all right. Well, let's get our next guest on for the night. You guys all know and love this fella. He's a legend in this space. He's one of my absolute favorites. Let's say hello to Tyson Roush from Let's Talk
Tyson
Jets. What is up, my friend?
A legend? Who the hell? You're the legend, man. I'm just trying to follow in your footsteps.
I used to listen to you. Hey,
don't be so humble.
Right, before I had a YouTube channel, I used to listen to your radio. It was, I guess you took the radio piece off now, but Let's Talk Jets radio. I used to listen to you guys while I was in the gym, while I was driving. So, man, I look at you as one of the forefathers, man. I'm grateful that you'll spend some time with us.
Oh, dude, I'm
paved the way.
No, I'm honored. You got Gunny Gumby here, man. He's ready to flex already. He's all like, yeah, man.
Super strong, right? Yeah, I mean, look, Gunny just does that so we all realize how out of shape we are. That's what he does. He goes, look, this is what
not
a man
even
looks
true.
like.
This is the wife made this for me. It's some situation sit rep gear. Wanted me to go ahead and rock it today for the season opener, and I was just like, all right, sure, I'll throw it on. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do love the way it fits. I definitely do love the way it fits. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Now, Gunny, is it made with no sleeves, or do you just cut them off after the fact?
Nah, there's no sleeves attached to it. It was bought like this.
Gotcha.
Wait, but how many push-ups before the show, though? 100 push-ups before the show?
About 50 to 60. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go too much. I don't want to be tired up here talking to you guys. About 50 to 60 before the show.
Just enough to get, what do they say? Swole? Is that the word? Is that still cool?
That's the word. That's the word. That's correct.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, so Tyson, thanks for hanging out with us, man. It's, we're all excited. This is the last show, of this show anyway, before the Jets start their season. So next week at this time, we'll know what we did on Monday night. How you feeling? Are you on the confident side? Are you drinking the Kool-Aid, as we say, or are you kind of tainted, damaged especially from last year? Where do you stand going into this season?
I'm serving the Kool-Aid, man. Win the AFC East, make a run deep in the playoffs, and let's go. Like, what? I mean, why not? Like, this team has so much talent on both sides of the ball, legitimate game-breaking talent, proven talent. I mean, there is some concerns about health and coaching, but listen, man, they're in a position to make a run at the AFC East, and I'm all about it. Like, anything less than that, I'm disappointed. Like 11, 12 wins or something's going wrong.
Yeah, or 11, 12. I saw something that said the Jets 9.6 wins. So 10 wins, they're saying. Would that be a disappointment to you?
Does that win the AFC East?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Probably need 11.
I don't think so. Right. I don't.
11's the number. Yep.
Unless there's a collapse somewhere, somewhere outside of New England.
I mean, 4-2 in the division. You have a favorable schedule beginning part of the year. Go like 7-3 in that range. I mean, dude, I'm tired of finding reasons why they're going to lose. I'm tired of finding reasons why things aren't going to go right. Like, this is the year where things just change. Aaron Rodgers, everything changes. Like, we got to change the mindset, man, because why be miserable all the time? Like, I get the same thing you guys get. Oh, but this is going to happen. No, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to see what happens, but I have a lot of faith. There's just too much talent now.
Now, you talked about the favorable schedule in the beginning part of the season. That is true, But that does not necessarily apply to Monday night, our first game of the year. They gave us a whammy. So how do you feel? You know, a lot of Jets fans, like, you know, the guys who fancy themselves or, you know, realistic or try to be realistic, say, look, I think we'll win 12 games, but this is one we're going to lose. How do you feel about Monday night against the Super Bowl level San Francisco 49ers?
It's a tough spot, man. And I'm an optimistic guy. And nobody wants to talk about negativity, but I think it's a tough spot to ask. Monday night on the road, great team, when your offense hasn't played with this quarterback ever. That's my concern. It's like Aaron Rodgers hasn't played in a year. There's going to be rust. There's going to be a learning curve. Offensive line's got to figure things out. While they're doing that, San Francisco is going to be a fine-tuned machine. Even with Trent Williams coming back late and IU coming back late, it's just, I want to see a competitive game. You obviously want to see them win, but I can't say they're favored. I can't say in my heart, I say, yes, they're going to win, but it's hard to say that because the Jets defense can hold their own, but what can we expect from the offense week one? That's a lot to ask, man, in this switch against that defense, man. They're good. They're really good.
And especially with, you know, we're talking about, you know, Mike Williams. They acknowledged this week that he is going to be on a pitch count, which I expected. You know, I don't think he's very similar to what we saw with Breece Hall last year. It's like, let's make sure he's good. We'll kind of slow roll him, you know, and I think that's the right move. But it puts us in a precarious position. You know, we got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. We have Tyler Conklin. Malachi Corley's not necessarily ready to be, you know, what we hope he will develop into. Who else? What? Lazard, Brownlee. I mean, you know, he's on the practice squad, but like Gibson. I mean, what else? What else do we have? So it's kind of it's an interesting position to be in. You know, what do you think? You think Williams will have any impact at all?
I mean, if anything, maybe a decoy, a decoy in situations. I think everybody knows the Jets going to want to run the ball. The 49ers are going to sell it to stop the run. Who's going to make plays in the passing game? And that's going to be your challenge. I mean, Williams could probably make 2 or 3 impact plays, but then, you know, Garrett Wilson got to do his thing. I think it's going to be on to like Lazard, Conklin. Like they've got to really step it up, man. And even Gibson, it's all like your contributing factors. And then you like to see like, what can they do with Breece? Like my X factor out of all this, and then this is going to come off like a jerk, but it's Hackett. Like we can have a really good discussion here about what we think the Jets should do. And then will he actually do that? Or can he adjust when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing? And then that's where Aaron Rodgers comes in too. But that's where your nervousness comes from. Like, all right, what's this game plan? Is it believable? And when things aren't going right, will they actually make adjustments that actually work until you see Aaron Rodgers yelling at him? You know what I mean? So that's
right.
I mean, like, what's your level of confidence in the game plan? Like, I think it's run, hope you can do it, and then throw the ball into Aaron Rodgers is comfortable.
Well, and that'll dovetail nicely. Dom actually has a question for you. So it's right in that same vein. So Dom, take it away.
Tyson, what's up, man? So along the same lines, like you said, the big, you know, X factor being Hackett, how much do you think of an advantage, or maybe for us, some might say a disadvantage, Shanahan and Saleh having so much familiarity with themselves? I mean, obviously different sides of the ball, but those units, they coached up those units that went against each other year after year after year. You know, talk to me about where you think we stand in the pecking order of this game. You know, you can put it on paper, and I'd say the Jets are, you know, on paper, you know, position by position, you know, right up there, or if not, maybe even advantageous to the Niners, except when you come to the coaching. I mean, I don't think it's, I don't even think it's, you know, they're in the same conversation. Yep. So I'd love your thoughts.
No, I agree. Like, you have faith in the Jets defense, you know, manning up with Shanahan, and understand Saleh knows the schemes. He knows all this. Like, the defense can hold their own. It's when the other way around, where it's very good defense, aggressive. And it's just, that's where like that the old Jet fan in me comes out. You're like, oh, like Hackett in a big spot. Week one, how they prepare for the last 4 months? Are there any lessons learned from last year? And that's where you know. And then you kind of hope that the voice of Aaron Rodgers they could sit in a room together and say, listen, man, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Like, I think I have more faith in Rodgers kind of straightening them out than I do Hackett.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about like the adjustment thing, and I was talking with a bunch of people today. I think it was in a Twitter space or whatnot. We're talking about that. It's like, for once, like I'd love to see the Jets make adjustments before halftime, right? We don't have to get like steamrolled going into the half, and then they finally make an adjustment and say, oh, okay, we're gonna, you know, line up this way. We're gonna man up this way on defense, so on and so forth. That stuff has to be done and applied quicker, and I think that's the difference really between Shanahan, who's more adaptable, to someone like Saleh, who's kind of, in a way, set in his ways. Maybe some might say pig-headed in that sense.
Yeah, but they get arrogant with their play calling and they get arrogant with their scheme on both sides of the ball. But I think Saleh and Ulbrich have been adjusting more. Hackett didn't at all last year. Like, you would literally see Becton struggle, or Dwayne Brown, whoever it was, they get no help. This guy can't block, not getting no help. Can't run the ball, still calling the same friggin' plays. It's like, that's got to change. You're too predictable. That's where you get really annoyed. And you said it's perfect. Like, and then the second half they changed. No, change it at the end of the first quarter. Like, change it on the fly.
Right.
Then. Right. That's what. And like, we all sit and talk about it. Like, I could have 6-7 beers hanging out, drinking and shit. I'm like, how is this guy not making an adjustment? We all know what's going wrong. And then, that's where, but then you also feel you have like an inexperienced quarterback or quarterback in over his head that they don't really know what to do with him. And Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers is more of a presence. They can make a change quicker with him because he can pick it up. Do this. All right, I got it. Like that, years of experience pays huge dividends there.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's going to be real interesting too, man. And there was that talk about, basically the Niners defense is our defense. Yep. Who brought that up this week? And then that their weakness is the gap run, the gap running scheme. And then we just so happened to change to that this year. So maybe we could kind of take advantage of that a little bit. But it is going to be interesting. I mean, these teams are very, at least the defense, specifically, very, very similar, man. So their team is used to playing this defense. So it's really going to come down to what we can figure out. And like maybe just the talent of our players, being able to match up in one way or the other. So Gunny's got an interesting question for you, Tyson. You're up next, Gunny.
All right, Tyson. What's up, brother? How you doing today?
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm living the dream, brother. I'm living the dream, man. Football is back. You really can't ask for much more. I mean, hopefully a playoff appearance. Other than that, you really can't ask for too much more. Got a question for you, man. All right, so Aaron Rodgers I think is going to be the catalyst of a lot of our wins this season. I think him being the quarterback, I can easily see him adding 4 to 5 wins himself on top of what we were able to accomplish last year with those 7 wins. He is 6-3 versus the 49ers in the regular season. Now, again, it's a tall order to ask them to go in there again with not the level of preparation that I think the 49ers are going to have. But do you think Rodgers, knowing this defense, knowing this team, is going to be a benefit? Because like you said before, one thing we know about our coaching staff is the defense knows how to play defense. And Saleh does know this offense pretty well as well. Do you think potentially Aaron Rodgers knowing this defense and how to play against Kyle Shanahan could give us an edge in any capacity this Monday?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he has a vast amount of experience and knowledge of how to attack it. I think it's just a matter of actually doing it. And my concern is just doing it while he's getting hit, while he's running. I mean, he's got to take that first big hit where he's like, all right, I can get up. My leg is good. He's got to get roughed up a little bit and then, get flustered, run out. And then he's going to build more confidence in himself too. He hasn't been hit yet. But I think, and then it's like, all right, are these guys all running the run routes? How, like the right routes? Is the offense flowing? To me, it's like you have faith, but they actually got to show they can do it. And like him not playing in a year, you just wonder how this offense flows. We haven't seen it yet. It's like the great unknown at this point. Not being like negative, but it's just like in theory he should be able to attack it. But will his teammates follow his lead and follow suit and run the right routes and run do things as expected?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I could see the offense not really, I'm not going to say gelling, but not really working at maximum capacity for a couple weeks because, all right, great. I mean, Tyson hit on the head. Aaron Rodgers hasn't played in a year. None of them played in the preseason. I mean, and which is fine. I'm not going to make it that big of a deal, but, they haven't had that time to really, gel together. So it could be a little bit of a rough start on the offensive side of the ball. The schedule on paper is very formidable week 1, but then kind of eases up for a little bit. NFL, any team can beat any team on any given day. So you can't really say too much of that, but it's nice to have that little lull as we kind of work through the possible kinks in the offense for sure.
Yeah, it's like a good litmus test. Like, all right, don't come out sleepwalking, don't come out unprepared, don't come out ultra conservative. Like, come out like a clear and concise blueprint of how you want to attack this game and run it to the best that you can. But you want like they're prepared. Like that's the one thing is like, all right, they know what they're doing, a little bit rust, errant pass here, drop there. Okay, fine. But don't come out like a bunch of just walking zombies that look like they never practiced before. So that's, like you said, it's a tough spot, man. I think as the game goes on, you figure he's gonna get a lot more comfortable, maybe stretch the field a little bit. I'm really curious to see what the game plan is. If they're to like run, third and long pass, like I'm curious to see how they actually attack this game.
Yeah, I've kind of done my own little analysis on what I expect, what I would do if I was it, and it would be a lot of heavy, a lot of 12, a lot of 22, a lot of big personnel, grind it out, use your power, get them in disadvantageous positions by getting them out of nickel, bring in the linebackers and base and kind of attack them there and just drag it out. Keep their weapons off the field. We're fair. You got Kittle, you got McCaffrey, you got all these guys. Can't hurt you from the sideline. Nope. Right?
Tyson, first play of the game. What are you doing?
Oh, in my heart.
Yep.
Play action pass.
You're the coach. You got the keys. You're on the sideline. You control the whole thing. What are you doing? First play of the game.
Play action pass bomb to Gibson.
Fuck yeah.
Gibson.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Why not?
That's what I'm bringing out. Like Dom said, I'm bringing out my 12, maybe even 13 personnel. I'm making them think we're going to grind it all day long. I'm going to fake it to Brees. I'm going to let Garrett Wilson make Ward break his ankles, and I'm going to toss it right to him, man, for a nice big play to start the game. Then I can settle it down if I want to from there. That's why I like Tyson so much.
Set the tone.
And that's beautiful because I guarantee you no one's expecting that. I guarantee you nobody's expecting that. They're going to be shocked by it, taken off guard by it, and that could be a money play. That could be a money play to go ahead and set the tone.
That's the way to do it. So E-Boogie's checking in. Now, we can't – on the screen here, on YouTube, you might be able to see it. I'm not sure, but he's using the emojis, and he says, Tyson, automatically making tonight's show great and fun, which I agree. Tyson is a good hang. I've never had a bad hang with Tyson, never, not one time. So I feel the same way. He says, question for Tyson: we going 20-0? I mean, you did say you're the one serving the Kool-Aid. So how do you feel? Is 20-0 realistic? Are we the ones to knock the champagne glasses out of the Dolphins' hands?
I have bad news for E-Boogie. They're gonna go 19-1. That's where they're gonna go.
Don't make the last game a loss.
No, the first game's a loss.
Okay.
That's 19 straight.
Well, there you go, E-Boogie. Look, I'm, I try to be realistic, but I see look, 20-0 to me at this point when nothing's been played is just as realistic as 12-5, as 9-7, or 9-8, whatever the hell it is now. Nothing exists, so I'm in and as soon as they lose one, it's 19-1, and then as soon as they lose two, it's 18-2. That's what I do. That's my new thing. Me and E-Boogie. That's why we're close. Me and E-Boogie. That's good stuff. But let's see here. So you know what, Tyson? I want to get your thoughts though on the whole Reddick thing, and I know it's like at this point we're beating a dead horse, but I am curious as to your thoughts. Number one. Are the Jets wrong in this? Is Reddick being kind of ridiculous? If he does sign, how long till he plays? I want to hear your overall view of this situation.
I think he should fire his agent because whoever told him to not report is an idiot. He could have held in. You show up, you don't get fined, you become a distraction. I'm in your office. I'm not practicing because my back hurts, my neck hurts, whatever. And you become a distraction, and you can meet the media, and you can do all these things. So now he got fined all this money for absolutely no reason. Because he proved nothing. And now he's going to probably miss the first game, if not two, which is ridiculous. I think it's ugly, man. And I think there's two sides to every story. And we've heard the Jets side pretty much over and over, and they've kind of changed it as a narrative changed. But I think when you make a contract offer to him prior to the trade and he turns it down, that's a red flag for me. Like, all right, we may not be in the same ballpark because the ballpark he wanted, we already knew in Philadelphia. The numbers are already out there. They haven't changed. And I don't think he's ever going to come here and play on non-guaranteed money. That'd be ridiculous to do that. So now it's just ugly, man. I think that both sides are losing because now, like, how long realistically till you get Reddick at max strength? So now you're going to pay him. Say you pay him $17 million for the year. He's going to miss 3 games. You're not even getting the full 17 games out of him now. You're getting a portion of the season. So you've already screwed the pooch on that. So I think both sides lost, man. Like I don't know, man. It's just very odd that there's no deal in place and deal wasn't done 2 months ago. It's just strange to me.
Yeah, and look, I will say I tend to agree with you. Like it's kind of at this point, it's just like everybody's losing, and particularly us. Damn it,
Yeah.
we're the ones that have been here. You know, when people say shit like, "What's this we shit?" I'm like, what do you mean? What's this we?
Yeah.
I've been here before Woody Johnson was here. I've been here forever. Damn right, it's we. You know, so but it's like we lose. You know, because look, we lose Bryce Huff. I think most Jets fans were of the thought that we should have brought him back. You know, we liked him. He's a homegrown guy, undrafted free agent, very successful, crazy impact, you know, for what his role was. We didn't want to lose him. We do, but when they traded for Reddick, it was like, oh, okay, all right. It was the salve on the wound. You know, it was like, okay, all right, that's nice. And like you said, like whatever this advice is, you know, like we've heard Joe Douglas, you know, I think it was last week. He said, look, our message has been exactly the same the whole time. Yep. We had an understanding. He was supposed to come in, you know, we wouldn't have traded for him, whatever he said, you know, he has a contract. And like you said, you could have come in and not even worked out. You could have just pretend, that hold in thing. And you could have just been in their face every day. And you could have maybe motivated them to work the deal. Hey, I'm coming in. You saw Judon get traded down to the where'd he go? The Falcons. And he says, well, hey, look, these guys don't even know me. So of course I'm going to show up. You know, I'm not holding out from that. That's what you want to see. And he's getting what? 8 million, 6 million, whatever the hell it was. Yeah. It's not even the 14.5. So it's bothersome. But at the end of the day, you gave up a 3rd round pick in 26. And you do kind of have a vacuum. I mean, maybe, you know, the combination of Clemens and McDonald are going to be fantastic. Who knows? Maybe, right? It's possible. But Reddick is an established elite pass rusher. And we have that question mark now in a season where we've pushed all our chips into the middle of the table. Yeah. Just get him in here. I don't really care anymore. Just get him in here because I want to watch a winning season. I don't want to watch them, you know, opposing offenses just exploit the left side of our defensive line or, you know, not be able to generate any pass rush or whatever it might be. I just want to win some damn games. So it's kind of,
but now it's like
a rub.
But now it's like, okay, get him in here. What exactly are you getting? What kind of shape is he in? When will he be full strength? Well, you know, and like things like this, you always want them getting hurt. Hamstring injuries, groin injuries, you know, they haven't practiced, they haven't done all these things, doesn't know the offense, doesn't know his teammates. I mean, doesn't know the defense. There's so many things like how long till you're going to get actually Reddick? And to me, it's like at some point the Jets had like to resolve it today and not 3 weeks ago to me is just stupid. The money's not going to change that much. And you need him. Like the Jets need him. Like it's so funny seeing fans, screw him, trade him, screw him. We need him. Because I'd rather have, like you said, an elite pass rusher that you know is what you're getting instead of hoping Michael Clemens is going to be good. Instead of hoping Will McDonald could be more than a spin move. Like, I want the known commodity with a win-now team with the expectations of winning the AFC East and making a deep run. You need the closers. Like, the Jets are one Jermaine Johnson, like, injury away from being like, uh-oh. Now what the hell?
A bunch of undrafted free agents running around.
Yeah, you better knock on wood right now, Tyson. Knock on wood.
I'll play devil's advocate. We were so excited about Dalvin Cook last year, right? We were pumped as a freaking franchise about Dalvin Cook.
And oranges,
he wind up burning. Is it though? Because the last 5 games
Reddick's been a Pro
Reddick
the last 3 years. Reddick's an elite pass rusher, man. He's a disruptive force. Dalvin Cook was on a downside of his career.
I'm looking at what Reddick put on tape last season, and everybody keeps saying double-digit sacks, but you saw a career low in pressures. You saw him disappear the last 5 weeks of the season. He got most of his sacks. I think 4.5 of his sacks were against the 32nd ranked offensive line and the 26th ranked offensive line.
But look at the
2.5 against us, and then against the Washington Redskins, he had 2.
But how many percentage snaps? Like 70% of the snaps he was doing, right? His snap count was high though, wasn't it?
It was 68, about 68. 70%.
You take that down to like 45 and see what he does when he's not completely worn out and stuff like that. Where you can, rotate him in, rotate him out. Then you have the force of Quinn and all these other guys. I don't know, man.
I look at it this way, right? I think we all have to ask ourselves this question, and this is why has Reddick never gotten the bag from any team that he's gone to? That's number one, right? Never gotten the bag. No team has ever wanted to extend him for the big money for a reason. I really trust in what they're doing over there with the Eagles. I think they're a smart organization. The GM knows his stuff. They weren't willing to give him the bag, and they had him in the building. This is a guy who a year before was getting MVP votes, defensive MVP votes for him. I don't know if what we don't know, But there's something to that. I look at this kid and I'm like, you could come here, like you just said perfectly right there, Tyson. He can come here, literally get half the snaps and literally stack sacks, stack pressures, get the bag for the next 3 years for either from us or whatever team wants to pay it for him. But it's like he's hoping and praying that we're able to succumb to this freaking I guess negotiations tactic to go ahead and pay him off of his resume, vice what he could potentially put on paper. And I'm concerned about that because if I'm 29 years old.
But that's on Joe Douglas, though, then, dude. What you said is exactly on Joe Douglas because, in theory, the Jets have to pay more for him than they're going to pay for Huff.
I agree with you there.
But that's the whole problem. Like the Eagles, if the argument, then I agree with you because you know what? The Jets had it in the building already. The Eagles wanted that guy. We're taking a guy they know they couldn't pay or didn't want to pay for $25 million a year.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. Letting Huff walk was dumb, in my opinion. I think Huff was homegrown. We knew what he was. He's 25 years old. Pay the kid. He's going to only work harder for you. I think with Reddick, I just have so many questions, man. And the more I see him holding out when he's trying to make more money, I feel like this is a guy who feels more comfortable betting on his resume than what he could potentially put on tape now. And that makes me so uneasy.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, last year.
I'm right there with you guys. Not to go back and do all that. But that's why this is so annoying is because we had the guy here and now you're held against the coals and you might even be paying 100%. More for the guy that they didn't want. They replaced this guy with, and it's ugly. Now, Tyson, I only got you for another couple minutes here. So we got another guest coming on in a few minutes. One question here from Wyatt, which by the way, I want to remind everybody about the Wayward Jets Fan Fund. We are collecting donations to send Jets fans from around the country to their first ever home game. Wyatt happens to be the first recipient, a young Wyoming Jets fan, Tyson. How that happens, we still don't have an explanation other than he likes the color green, but he's been with us for a few years now. He's a Marine stationed out in California, and he's first up.
Wyatt?
So the link is pinned to the top of the chat if you'd like to make a donation. Every dollar helps, of course. We're paying for the ticket and the flight in for people. And we have, I think I have 4 more on the list now. So anyway, you can donate. The link is up there. So, hey, Tyson, what about tonight's game? It did start, everybody, after the scary weather. The Ravens are driving. Tyson, what do you think? What's your prediction? Wyatt seems to think the Ravens are going to win 24-17. What do you got for the first game of the season?
I'll go with him. I like to see the Ravens, upset the Chiefs here and get rolling. I think everybody else. I'm tired of the Chiefs, man. Like I want to kind of change the guard the AFC. So
anybody else but them. Anybody else at this point. I can't do it again.
Give the Chiefs all the losses they can get in case we have like a tiebreaker down the line or something like that. So I'll go with the Ravens.
I'm with you, man. Well,
listen, stand with Tyson.
Yeah, me too. I know. It's like, dude, we got perpetual underdog-itis too. It's just like anybody who's at the top, get him off the top. I don't want him up there anymore. That's how I see it. But Tyson, listen, thank you for carving out some time with us tonight. Genuinely appreciate and respect you. Do you have anything coming up you want to let anybody know about?
Nah, man, just the same old thing. You guys are doing a great job, man. It's great talking to all these Dom, Gunny. Gunny's a celebrity now. He's like, every time I go on YouTube, he's always somewhere, doing something. It's this guy. Now he's, you know what the funny thing is? Now he's got merch. I didn't see no merch coming to my house or anything. I didn't get no shirts. Like, I didn't get nothing.
Yo, you don't got the guns to wear that shirt. You don't got the guns to wear that shirt.
These are the prototypes. These are the prototypes. The wife just put these together. This store's coming out there. And once the store goes live, don't worry. I got some stuff coming for you guys.
I'll do push-ups every day now. Lots of push-ups.
That's awesome. All right, but everybody, let's talk Jets. Tyson Roush, one of our favorites. Thank you, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the game, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Have a go.
Later, Tyson.
All right. So, and thank you for the super chat, Wyatt. You know what you should do, Wyatt, is just donate to the fund. Help get your flight into New Jersey. But thank you, Wyatt. Wyatt's the best, man. Wyatt's a beanbag. We spend every Wednesday night he hangs out with us, man. He's a true Jets fan. He defended Zach a little bit too long, but we won't hold that against him. He wasn't alone. But let's do this. So I want to remind everybody about the sponsor of the show. And we have a couple more guests coming your way in the second hour. But don't forget about America's favorite sports book, BetUS. There is a link at the top of the description, everybody. Click that link and get taken to this site where you can get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. 125% of $2,000, man. That's not bad. I don't know what that is because I'm stupid and old and like a caveman, but I'm sure it's more. I know it's more. I that much I'm confident. I wanted to show Dom this. We talked about you too, Gunny. You weren't here. Me and Conor were talking about. I had to be careful because he's not 18. I don't want to insinuate that Conor's betting because that's definitely not happening.
It's a bad day.
Look
it's
at these AFC winner odds, everybody. They
Wow.
can go to BetUS. Now, the interesting thing for me is that the Jets are on there. Look at this. Look at where we're 5th, and that's new. That's new.
Wait, hold on. This is weird. So how did they decide to give the Jets that they're behind the Bills, but the Jets are expected had the odds to win the AFC East?
Different odds makers. Different odds makers.
BetUS.
Well, no, but the thing is, and it's look, it says right on. Look at underneath. Odds subject to change, Gunny.
Change.
See,
and it's the AFC winner.
Evolving process.
The Jets could be favored to win the division, and they're saying the Bills have a better chance to win the AFC.
That's odd, but okay, I get it.
I don't.
Oh, here's Mecole Hardman. He's in the game.
What?
Mecole Hardman.
I'm in mid-ed here. Mid-ed. Dom, you gotta Dom. We gotta control Dom. Dom's a loose cannon. It turns out we didn't know that. But anyway, guys, if you want to get in on these odds and get the 125% bonus, the link is right at the top of the description of this video. And thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the Thursday Thick of It for the 2024 NFL season. So yeah, before our next guest pops in here, a guy that you guys know and love very well, which by the way, I don't know his name. I just know him by his
moniker
channel. Yeah, it's weird. I was thinking about it before.
His handle?
Like, I have no idea what his fucking real name. It's like me. People don't know my name, you know.
His name is Kevin.
Actually, he just how do you know who it is? How do you know who's coming next?
I know everything.
Could be Jetnation. You don't know.
I know.
You don't know. Is that real? Is this guy's name? Is this? Let's bring him on.
Let's see if it's
your
Kevin.
name Kevin?
Hey,
yep.
That's what the license says. The license does not say BJF.
Yeah, no, that's my paychecks. BJF.
BJF, exactly.
For
all
tax,
my stuff
for
says
tax
GreenBean.
purposes. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, all my stuff says GreenBean too. They're like, so I gotta be careful. But hey, man, thank you for hopping on with us. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you guys. Gunny, Dom, what's going on?
Same
What's
old,
up, brother? How you living, man?
Good. I'm so excited for week 1. We got a healthy injury report, man. We actually have
Right?
the team that we actually have
Except
our actual
Schweitzer,
team.
right? Except Schweitzer, he's the only guy who didn't practice today.
Yeah, so we're probably screwed then,
with
right?
the hand.
Yeah,
Season's over.
it's all for
Oh
naught
no,
now.
it's over. Here comes the L's.
GreenBean's happy.
comes.
GreenBean is happy with no Schweitzer there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, he's primary depth these days. So I mean, hey, I'm rooting for him. I'm a fan. I'm not necessarily exuding confidence, but I'm a fan. I'm rooting. So Buffalo Jets, thank you again for coming on. How you feel? Are you nervous going into this one? Are you confident? Just to start with that, how you feel going into this week 1 matchup against the Niners?
I feel very optimistic. Last year I was so nervous with all of the hype and the lead up to it, and the fact that we've already seen the floor. It's like, why not just be excited about the ceiling? Like we know what the worst case scenario is, and we survived it. I mean, we hated each other, we fought about it, we coped, and some of us better than others. But look, the Jets objectively are, I don't know, maybe there's 8 to as many as at the most 12 teams that you could conceivably say have a realistic chance to win the Super Bowl, and the Jets are one of those teams. I don't care what anyone says. And all anyone says is that they hope our guys get hurt or that you're the Jets. Like, no one's saying Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson aren't good. Like, and no one's quite questioning the roster. So I think we got the best roster in the AFC East. I'm excited to get a nice litmus test on Monday. But as long as we come out Monday healthy, there's nothing that's going to happen Monday that's going to make me really freak out one way or the other, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's one of those games. Like, I mean, look, if we get blown out, if it's like 35-3, that's an ugly one. But other than I'm right there with you. Like, if we end up losing this game, like
By 10 points,
yeah, I mean, it's as long as it's a good game and we show up, so to speak. I feel the same way. I mean, is this a game that you have marked down like on your prediction list, so to speak, as a loss?
See, the problem is if you ask me any individual week, I think we're going to win. So, but by that logic, we're going like 17-0. But I will say it's probably the most difficult matchup. I think the 49ers and I think it's the biggest spread. I think we're 4-point underdogs. And I think right now, in terms of odds, that's the toughest one. So this one and then the one in Buffalo are probably the toughest games on the schedule. I still do think we have some favorable matchups on our defensive front versus their defensive front, ironically, considering they just got their all-pro back and we're still missing ours. But they're still rolling out. They have a great left tackle, a solid center, but beyond that, their right tackle is bad.
Hot
right
trash.
Yeah, he's terrible. He lost them the Super Bowl. If you go back and watch the right side of their offensive line, now they replaced Feliciano with a third-round rookie in Puny, who I like, but it's still he's a mid-round rookie going against Quinn Williams in his first game, and the left guard is nothing to write home about either. So I like the Jets. I like the Jets defense's chances in this one for sure. I am hoping to see Sauce Gardner dancing around with Brandon Ayuk on 3rd and 7. I just think let's do Revis Island style, baby. I do want to. I think that's the guy, because Debo, he's been productive, but he's really a yak guy. Ayuk is there. He's their route running aficionado, and on the money downs, I want to see Sauce shadowing him. But Salah doesn't respond to my text messages. I'm not Joe Beningo, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And
I like that though. Oh, go ahead, Dom.
No, I was gonna just kind of dovetail on his Colton McKivitz is trash innuendo there. I think the big X factor, obviously, when we're on defense, they're on offense. Is you got to keep, you got to tackle well, because they're going to try to get the ball in their playmakers' hands in space and let them do something. I expect a lot of quick action. And then obviously the fact that since probably the Herm Edwards era, I don't remember us being able to really cover a tight end. So Kittle's, that's going to be a tough matchup, but will they kind of protect Colton McKivitz from Jermaine Johnson by keeping Kittle in more as a blocker? It's something to think about, and something that we probably may see a little bit more often if you see McKivitz getting dog walked on that, on the right side or our left side from defense.
Well, so you think they're going to take Jermaine Johnson and throw him on the other side?
Oh yeah, I do.
I think it's smart. Just take Michael Clemens and put him against Trent Williams. You know what I mean? If he's good, you don't expect as much.
Here's the thing. They run predominantly left. Right. I mean, I think it was like 80-something% of the time of their run scheme is run behind Trent Williams left. Yep. So that's going to be the strong side of, the strong side of the defense, which Clemens is going to play that strong side defensive end, a la JFM in JFM's role. So you could flip. You could see situations where JJ does line up on the right side to rush the passer if McDonald's in on the left side, because I think that his speed against Colton McKivitz, kind of like statue-esque pass blocking, is very advantageous. But I think that you're going to see a lot more Clemens and Tack when he's in the game, or if he's in the game, playing on that right side over Trent Williams, because that's predominantly where they run the ball.
I like it. Now, here's an interesting question from Wolf of Gotham. And this kind of goes, it's the flip side of what you were saying, Buffalo, before. So the Niners have a new defensive coordinator. They're going to need some time to adjust to their new scheme. Do you see our offense being able to capitalize on any of that? Maybe that kind of them settling in defensively.
I see Gunny shaking his head. What are you thinking, Gunny?
It's not a new scheme. It's the same exact scheme. This is a guy who was already molded and coached up from the Salah era. Like he was just the next man up. It's the same exact scheme. They're not changing anything up. The scheme isn't changing. It's been working for them. It's been a top 5 defense the last 4 years, 5 years. Why change it? This guy was just one of the disciples that now gets the opportunity to be the defensive coordinator. Unfortunately for us, they're running the same exact defense we've seen them run for the last several years.
You also have Brandon Staley there on the defense as well. Who does run a very similar scheme and has experience playing the Jets last year. I mean, San Diego came in and gave it to us pretty good.
Yeah, they are. I did read a stat that the 49ers, the first 4 games, I think it's the first 4 games of the year, the last 3 years, the 3 or 4 years are like pretty much a 500 team. So they're kind of like the Belichick Brady Patriots in that way, where they start like 3-2 and then peel off like 9 in a row. So I do think there is something to, if you want to play them, you probably want to play them early. In terms of the scheme, I don't know how much it's going to matter. I do wonder to the extent Salah coming from there, how much that helps. But I do think there is something to this week 1 game probably meaning a little bit more to the Jets than the 49ers. The 49ers can take this loss on their chin, and they're still the presumptive NFC favorites by a wide margin. But the Jets that got their season ripped out from under them in 4 plays last year, even though it's on the road, I just think it's going to be tough for the Niners to match the Jets' sense of urgency as long as we don't take like a big gut punch early, like like a pick 6, and then all of a sudden we're down 10-0 or anything like that. I think if we're able to start hot, I do think there's going to be different energy and urgency on the Jets side. I don't know if that makes sense, just because of where the 2 teams are at.
Makes perfect
I get
sense.
it. I mean, I'll tell you what. As long as we get to play 5, that's going to be a big deal. It's like when we went to our meetup last year, we got our first roughing the passer penalty in like 2 seasons or whatever it was. And we went ballistic, like just the whole stadium. Like, oh my God, we fun. If we get to play 5, I feel like it's going to be a similar thing.
We could put
like
Tyrod in after that.
Yeah, right. It's like breaking through this barrier, because look, we obviously our hopes are really hanging on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's the X factor here. He's the one that takes this team and elevates us to what you were talking about before. A Super Bowl, realistically, like we're in the conversation. And that's, I think, in many ways because of, Aaron Rodgers being here on the offense. But that said, who do you see, especially early on, and we'll try to keep it as close to week 1 as we can. But who do you see kind of rising early as our offensive weapon? Is it going to be Garrett? Is it going to be Brees? Is it going to be both? Is it going to be Conklin? I mean, what do you see as kind of the guy popping through and being that dependable, either receiver or just offensive weapon for the Jets offense?
If you held my feet to the fire, maybe pick one, I'd say Brees Hall. I think that they're going to pick up where they left off. And I think both as a runner and as a passer, it was interesting last year, once they started featuring their 2 best players, the offense started doing better. It was kind of weird once they ran it through Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. Now that I think Brees Hall has a level to him. Like he's the guy where you talk to fans from other teams, right? And maybe they look him up and they said, oh, he had 4.5 yards a carry. He didn't even have 1,000 yards. Like he's the guy where I tell other fan bases, I'm like, no, dude, if you watch this guy, he is special. I think this is going to be the 2 best running backs in the league on the field, Christian McCaffrey and Brees Hall. I think 100%. Brees Hall is the best running back in the conference. I think he can do some like not Adam Gase Le'Veon Bell, but prime Le'Veon Bell, like where he could moonlight as a slot receiver if you really wanted him to. He down the stretch he was he led all running backs in the NFL in catches last year. So he'd be the guy for me. I think Garrett is going to get a really high volume share. So I think it's like I think Garrett and Brees are on a tier of their own, and then Conklin and Mike Williams are that second tier, and then the rest of it is just guys pitching in here and there. But yeah, Brees Hall, I think 2,000 scrimmage yards is definitely within reach, and I don't think they're going to waste any time, man. I think he's going to be a very busy man on Monday night.
Yeah, that using him as the pass catcher, and look, I asked Tyson this. And I really liked, I don't know if you saw it, but I really liked what he said. if you were the coach, first offensive play from the Jets Monday night, what are you doing?
Oh, me? Oh, I'm gonna come out really, really heavy and tight with like Ruckert as a fullback, and then I'm gonna play action and chuck it 60 freaking yards to Garrett Wilson down the field, man. That's what I'm gonna do, baby.
Oh, that's so great. That's exactly what
Go. Hey, I hope Rogers is watching this and Hackett is watching this because that's the game plan right there. That's the meta.
You know it's going to be Adam Gase style, like a gap dive.
I know, man.
Second
and
eight,
it's
baby.
like,
Second eight.
I know. There's some analytics nerd in there. Like, now I'm telling you, this is the way. They're doing that whole thing with their fucking.
Hey, his name is Michael Nania, and he's a very good guy.
But it's a funny thing because, like, here we are on the outside, and look, I think we want excitement and all that stuff. But I think, relatively speaking, we're not a bunch of idiots. We've been watching this team and watching football our whole lives in most respects. And we know what kind of things can work. Now, the Niners might be ready for something like that. And that's okay. You can have an incomplete pass, but it's to let them know, hey, man, we're going to be taking shots and that you need to loosen this shit up tonight because we're going to be taking some shots. And if you play up front, if you're trying to stack it to take Breece Hall out, we're going to get some. And even if that's the messaging, but I think it'll work. Just like you said, 65 yards down the field, Garrett Wilson, who I know Ward is a stud. I get it. I don't think Garrett Wilson is coverable for an entire game. I really do see him like that. Maybe I'm drinking a little too much Kool-Aid, but that's how I see him. And I think, look, that comment last week, Buffalo, where Ward said, he's the big dog. Garrett Wilson, that's his name, right? Like, that's his name, right? You don't know his name. That is that's more disrespectful than saying, like, I don't like him, I'm gonna kick his ass. That's his name, right? Like a complete dismissal. Garrett Wilson is a true stud, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna want to make this guy fucking, burn.
Well, he's going to get it.
You think? How do you see that matchup? What do you see, Buffalo? Dom, you all geared up? You can answer if you want. Then we'll get to
No. I was just going to say he's going to see. He's going to get his chance because I think Ward's going to shadow Garrett. Ryan,
no doubt.
Ryan and I had a Niners content creator on Monday, and she said that she expected them to shadow. They don't do it all the time, but if there's a definitive alpha where they think they could kind of level out the playing field, that they will. So she's expecting Ward to shadow Garrett Wilson all day long.
I guarantee you Ward will know Garrett Wilson's first name, middle name, and last name by the end of that game.
That's right.
Oh, he'll be able to read it perfectly fine as he's dusting him, man. It'll be right there, Wilson, right behind him. Yeah, Garrett is. Oh man, I'm excited for that one because and Garrett always takes the high road. I love Garrett. He's always been a pro ever since he was at Ohio State. He's just I'm 30 and I wouldn't be able to handle these questions with the class that he does as like a 22, 23-year-old kid. So you love that from Garrett. He didn't take the bait. And Garrett, I hope they move him. I hope they try to use him in the slot a little bit. I just think he's so good on those two-way goes. And what I love about the addition of Mike Williams, it's not that Mike Williams is really good at one thing, and it's the 9 route, right? And Aaron Rodgers is so lethal on those boundary balls that if they want to shadow Garrett Wilson with a safety, like you always have that just break class in case of emergency, turn to the other side where it's probably going to be single coverage and just chuck those jump balls to Mike Williams, pass interference, like you're saying, just stretch the field. So there's a lot of options, and I think they're gonna leverage Aaron Rodgers' quick release, like that short yak stuff to Garrett Wilson, where you're just stealing like 7-8 yards at a time that he did with Devontae Adams a ton. So I'm super excited, man. I would anticipate that Garrett Wilson has a big night.
Yeah, I want to see at least one play where he breaks his ankles. That's what I want to see. I want to see some real tried and true humiliation. That's what I want. That's all I'm asking. Some humiliation on their end, because usually we're the recipients of it. But look, Mike Williams, they're talking about him being on a pitch count. I think it's smart. Even though I knew it, I know it's smart. I hate hearing it. I just shut the fuck up and why do you got to tell everybody? Just go play football, damn it. But That said, I think even if he plays a handful of plays, just like you pointed out, that doesn't mean that he can't have an impact, even if it's just as a decoy. But like, look, in the event you just want to throw it up, he's a good jump ball guy. You can get the pass interference, and Aaron Rodgers can lay it right where it needs to be. So I'm excited about that. How do you feel about our offensive line, Buffalo? I mean, look, this is their first game ever playing together. We got a whole bunch of noobs out there as far as, to the team, not necessarily their career. Tyron Smith, Simpson, you got Tipman at the center, AVT, and Morgan Moses. This is quite the collection of individuals. Do you expect some rust? Do you expect them to kind of have some missed and blown assignments? Or do you think that these are pros and they're going to be pretty damn good for us?
No, I think in terms of mentally, I think they'll be okay because they're pros. I think AVT will probably have a little bit of rust. Remember the last year, AVT started the season coming off his injury before, was a little rusty to start the year. But I think they'll be ready to go. And I truly think that and again, it's all on paper right now. We understand that. But I think the overhaul of this offensive line in one offseason, I think, is one of the most impressive things Joe Douglas has ever done in his tenure with the New York Jets. Because when I headed into the offseason, I'm like, all right, can we get this to average? Can we get this from the 32nd ranked offensive line to, the 19th passable? And you go left to right, it's like John Simpson's your worst offensive lineman. John Simpson was the worst offensive lineman on the Ravens, who probably had the best offensive line in the league last year. We're in the conference championship game, right? So, and the depth, you couldn't ask for any better depth. Your break glass in case of emergency swing tackle is a top 12 pick in a very high rated offensive class. We were talking about tanking for Olu. Remember we beat the Commanders where we're like, shit, we're not gonna get Olu Fashanu. Back, you get him anyway. And even guys like Carter Warren, like I think Carter Warren, look, it's a 4th round pick in his second year developing, and he's your 4th guy. Max Mitchell, who is your 5th tackle. So you're multiple injuries away from relying on guys that you've been developing for 3 years combined. On the interior, I think that was one spot where I was like, I would have liked maybe like a Conor McGovern reuniting. I know Xavier Newman had a good preseason, but the tackles is what really, really killed us last year, rolling out Becton and Brown. And I think the offensive line is one of the reasons why I'm most confident in this team from last year. It's a completely different unit. It's probably better if you go across the line. You can make the argument it's better at 4 spots.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say. And I feel confident too. I like what you said. The key thing that, from my perspective, what you said is we're multiple injuries away from having to kind of fall back to what we've immediately needed to fall back to in the last 2 seasons. Having Fashanu there, or Fashanu, as that swing, look, we're in a pretty good spot. Now he's young, he's raw, all that, but he's uber talented. And I'm very confident in his ability to fill in if he needs to. And it's just such a different situation. Schweitzer, I'm not necessarily most confident in old Wes, but hopefully we don't have to see him very much. But yeah, I mean, it's a different story, and because the key really is keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. Even those first 4 plays that we saw last year, he was running for his life on all of them. I mean, he was running all over the place. It was brutal
in the preseason. Even in like the Carolina preseason last year,
the joint practices. It was the offensive line was never it was never good last year. So
never good. So that's going to be exciting. Now look. We had Conor on, now the world famous Conor from the Rich Eisen show, and JetX fame. He predicted Tony Adams leading the Jets in interceptions this year. How do you feel about Tony Adams? Are there any question marks on the defense? He's still one for me. I do like him, but he's still a question mark for me. How do you feel, about him and other areas of the defense that you feel like could be exploited a bit?
I think that the way this defense runs, I think if we can get mediocre safety play, it'll be okay. I mean, we've had average to below average safety play the last 2 years, and have had LaMarcus Joyner started on this team and we had a really good defense, right? So, and I think that you look at the way they allocate resources. I think they've just decided we're going to have the best corner trio in football. We're going to be able to get to the passer with 4 guys, and if Chuck Clark and Tony Adams can be okay, we'll live with that. Tony Adams is a player who, the beginning of last year, looked pretty lost. He took some of those Ashton Davis run angles, but he's got uber athleticism. And Tony Adams is, in man coverage, he can play. Like when you have to go cover one, and if you want to have Chuck Clark be the play back deep, and and they're going to try to single up, but we're going to get our slot receiver on Tony Adams and run a crosser and beat him that way. Like he'll go step for step with a wide receiver. It's just we don't really have a natural center fielding safety. I think that's something we've been kind of looking for on this team. Like every offseason, like, is it going to be Jesse Bates? Is it going to be Marcus Wood? Kind of looking for that. So I think that is a little bit of a question mark, but it's not a detriment to the point where I would be concerned about the defense. Now, I do think without, he who shall not be named, I am interested to see how the other guys step up for the loss of JFM and Bryce Huff. I think Will McDonald can be adequate in the 2022 version of Bryce Huff, where it was like pure pass rush situations only. You obviously eventually want more out of your top 15 pick, but I think in that role he'll be pretty good. The wild card for me is Tack McKinley. Look, man, he was giving it to those future FedEx employees pretty damn good, and doing so I don't know if that's just pure because to stand up for me to buy the hype in preseason, you really got to kick ass, and he was beating their ass. He was dominating those dudes. So can he give you, I don't know, 5.5, 6 sacks and 45 pressures and kind of eat into some of what you lost with JFM? He's really truly the wild card to me, because I think he might be without Reddick, he might be their second best, most well-rounded edge, right? I think he's probably better against the run than McDonald. He gives you more pass rush juice than Clemens. I don't know if Tack McKinley shouldn't be starting in our base defense right now without Reddick, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. Now, I love that you brought up Tack. It is funny. And I say it all the time. It's look, yes, they're going against, you said FedEx. I like to say garbage men and accountants, right? So we don't, but it's they're going against those guys. But if you're in that pool and you're clearly the best in that pool, that's one thing. If you're just showing that hey, I can hang in here and it's a little bit less exciting, but he dominated, he looked like, hey, I don't belong with this crop, I'm clearly not of this ilk. Which is nice to see. So, I mean, I like 5 sacks or so, 45 pressures. That would be wonderful, in my opinion. How you feeling about Clemens? Are you one of the guys that are out on Clemens? Are you factoring in the 20 pounds that they asked him to gain and lose? I mean, where do you stand on this guy?
Well, I will say he was better as a rookie. By any analytic metric, he had a decent rookie season for a mid-round pick as an edge. He was an excellent run defender. They made him gain the weight, but it was weird. They didn't play him inside. So they made him get up to 295 pounds, and now he's a 295-pound wide 9 rusher. Those don't exist. So now he's slim. So I'm giving him a chance. I think Michael Clemens might have an Ashton Davis-like arc to his career where it's we're all done with him. We hate him, and he's maybe elevated one spot too high. But I think if he's properly slotted in his role and he puts the baseball bat away, dude, okay, I'm scared of Michael Clemens, right? 10-year veteran offensive lineman who just got done blocking Myles Garrett. Don't give a shit about Michael Clemens. I'm sorry. I don't care how buff he is. They are not afraid of him. They're more afraid of 238-pound Hassan Reddick blowing by them and beating them for a sack than they are of Michael Clemens rushing on his, like he's on the beach in Tim's, as I like to say. But I think it really comes. I think if Tyron Smith decided to hold out and Max Mitchell was elevated to starter, Max Mitchell will be getting a lot of hate from Jet fans too, right? I think he's just the guy who's probably one spot too high. We'll see. I'm willing to see how it goes. Obviously the coaching staff is high on him for a reason. I do think the run defense will be real. I don't personally see the traits, the athleticism, the bend, the get off, to be a consistent pass rush winner in this defense, because you got to have 4 guys who can get after it, because if you have one dude who can't, it's almost like in basketball when you have 2 guys who can't shoot, it messes up your whole operation. You're almost going 3 against 5. So that is a spot where I think the Jets knew who Michael Clemens was, and they freaking traded for Hassan Reddick, right? So I think that kind of tells us something too.
Yeah.
So I think he can be a part of your rotation, and we can have a good defense. But I'm not gonna lie, like him starting doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Well said. Now, before I let you go, I want to bring something up. Just over 12 hours ago, on Twitter, you had one of the finest simple tweets I've ever seen. And I'd like to bring that up. So somebody
It only took me 3,782 tweets, GreenBean. I was waiting. Now I can never tweet again. I was like, when is GreenBean going to say it?
This one was, like sometimes we just say too much. You know what I mean? We're like, we say, this was like, it was just a mini sentence. And it was like, it says everything. So check this out. So this whoever, Shorty, says, my mental health is in the hands of effing Sam Darnold this season. What the F did I do to deserve this? And Buffalo just says, you merely adopted the dark. And I was like, dude, so well said. I mean, what else can you, like, will you shut up? You don't know anything, man. I thought that was fantastic. And then look,
that was an elite tweet. I'm telling you, elite tweet.
Yeah, and then you see, I had to jump in. Best tweet in years. And I meant it. See, I'm a wordy fella, and I get caught in my own damn sauce a lot of times. But sometimes I just appreciate when somebody just boom, and I was like, oh yeah. That says that literally says 40 years of pain. That's what that says to me.
Without question.
So listen, man, I want to thank you for hopping on with us. As always, it's always a good hang with you. You're a great guy, very funny, know your shit, and I appreciate it. I'm really hoping that we, as a unit, our Jets fan group, Monday night we get to have some fun and maybe even come out of this thing with a surprising victory. If you're putting money on it, are you saying we win or lose, Buffalo?
I'm saying we cover.
Oh, there you go. Bet you have, everybody.
I got it when it was at 4.5. I got it when it was at 4.5, baby. I like that number.
There you go. Well, listen, man, thank you. Have a great rest of the night. Enjoy the game. It's a good game. 10-7 Chiefs right now. But hey, have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. There he goes, Buffalo Jet. Now, our next guest to close out the show is here. Now, you guys want to, you guys were all cocky before knowing who it was, his fucking first name and all that shit. You want to take a shot at who this is, Gunny? Do you know who it is?
Let's see.
Dom knows. Dom's like, I know.
I'm gonna say it's Matt. Is it Matt?
No. I thought about Matt and Ryan. Of course, I always think about those guys, but I was like, let me shake it up a bit. Dom.
I know who it is. You already told me.
I did.
Oh, see, I didn't get the memo.
You're having an old man moment. That's how I knew.
You're having an old man moment.
Well, look, this is a guy that started. He's where I started. So let's bring him on. The great Dylan Terraman. Jetnation Radio.
What's up, guys?
And
what's
many
up?
other things, I'm sure. It's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Dylan?
Dude, I'm fired up, guys. I couldn't be happier. I finally back in my home studio, back where I belong, ready for the season. I'm fired up for this one, guys.
Yes. I love it.
I'm fired up as well. Look, I really appreciate you carving out some time to hop on with us. It's always fun to talk to you. Are you still, look, admittedly, the last few months, I haven't really absorbed much content. I'm just now kind of getting back into the flow. Are you still doing the Jet Nation Radio?
Yeah, me, Glenn, and Chris are doing every Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, depending. But yeah, me, Glenn, and Chris every Wednesday. We try to do a show every Wednesday. Yep, jetnation.com.
Nice. Yeah, and Glenn Naughton, as most of you guys probably know, another one of the forefathers. I used to listen to him too. It was just him alone on Jetnation. It it was just a podcast at the time. It was like there was
Yeah,
no
dude.
YouTube. There
Dude,
was
we
none
had
of that.
we had to call in on our phones, and me and
Remember
Alex would
that?
talk to each other through Blog Talk, and like we'd
Blog
sit there for like
Talk.
an hour and a half. Oh, dude, dinosaur age stuff. Like, yeah.
Well, so yeah, man, it's a great show, and Jetnation's a great. I mean, dude, they've been around forever. Before we had YouTube and everything like that. We were all on Jetnation just talking in a message board, and that message board is still as vibrant and thriving as ever. So if you're looking to Jets talk, Jetnation is the place. So Dylan, overall, how you said you're fired up, but does that mean you're confident? Are you drinking the Kool-Aid? Where do you stand with the Jets right now?
So I've seen the trending phrase being cautiously optimistic, and I don't want to like use that phrase, but that's, I guess, kind of the best way to put it. I'm excited. Like, there's no other way around it. Aaron Rodgers was the guy I've like always wanted. My longest friend is a Packers fan, so I've been watching, 12, now 8 for as long as I can remember as a football fan. So like, I remember when Favre came to the Jets, he was like, dude, in a couple of years, it's going to happen with Rodgers. I'm like, nah, dude, it's not going to happen. And of course it does. So I've been following him. I'm excited. My expectation is let's just get to week 2 and we'll see what happens. Like, if we could just get through one game and take it one game at a time, win or lose, let's just get Rodgers through the first game, and then I'll feel good about the chances for the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, double-digit wins, not to like spoil any of your future questions, but double-digit wins seems like the expectation.
I hope that, look, I hate getting to the point where like we are starved, right? We've had 7 wins the last 2 years, and technically speaking, that's pretty good for what we've been watching. And now all of a sudden, I'll just be honest with you guys, I feel like 10 is a disappointment. Like, how do I go from that? Like 7, 4, 2, and I'm like 10, I'd be disappointed. Like, what happened to me? I don't know how I get my pendulum swings all the way to the other side. But do you agree? Do you feel like with this roster, 10 wins would be a little bit disappointing?
Yeah, because then you have to like look at the schedule and find those 7 losses. And that's what I said to Glenn yesterday on our show. It's like, you could look at the schedule and maybe see 5 where you're like, your gut instinct is like, I don't feel like it's an immediate win, so we'll just count it as a loss. And there's only about 5 of those games. So to say that there's now 7 of those games is kind of tough to swallow. We probably lost like a trap game, or we lost to a like maybe like a New England, and we weren't supposed to lose that type of game. You know what I'm saying? So 10 does kind of sit a little rough with me, but like, I don't know, in the NFL, the difference between a 9-win team and a 10-win team is very huge. And then even bigger from a 10 to an 11-win team. I feel like those teams really have to have, good chemistry, good scheme, good coaching, good health, obviously, and good luck at the same time. So if you can get 10, you should feel like comfortable, but 11, 12, I feel like, looking at the schedule, why not 12? I feel like that's, acceptable. Yeah. Looking at this schedule, if you go 5-1 in the division, I think it opens the door for a lot to happen with the rest of your games out there.
Well, shit, that's how the Patriots did it forever. I mean, think about this. You talk about this Patriots dynasty. It's not necessarily to take anything away per se, but they got anywhere from 4 to 6 free wins for a decade. The AFC East was hot garbage. The Dolphins, the Jets, and Bills, we sucked forever. And like one of us would beat them here or there, or they might get 2 losses. But imagine getting gifted, 4 to 5 extra wins every single year. That's how they got home field advantage and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, look, if we can be 4-2, 5-1 in this division, that's going to be an incredible boost for our hopes this year. Let me, Dom, did you have a question? You started to talk.
He liked my 5-1 comment.
I was taken aback by that. Listen, I hope they're 6-0 in the division. However, 5-1's a hard ask.
Yes,
right? That means
that's not predictive. That's just saying, like, if you want to get to your 12-win mark, you probably have to win 5 within the division.
You heard it here first. Dylan is predicting 5-1 in the AFC East.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's just a hard ask, because you're, listen, take it for what it is. Miami and Buffalo are still very good teams, as the Jets are. I mean, I feel bad for poor New England having to face all three of us. But yeah, listen,
I
I
don't.
hear what you're saying.
I don't care about the freaking New England Patriots. I hope they can suck it. I don't care about the New England Patriots.
So yeah, I was just while you were talking and when GreenBean started on his 10-win thing, I was just mentally trying to go through the schedule, and I guess the questionable games outside of you got 2 against Miami and Buffalo, which legitimately, let's call it what it is, they can go either way, right? Jacksonville, I think, is a game like that can go either way. San Francisco, probably if I had to put my mortgage on it, I'd probably lean San Francisco still. So right there is what, 5 games?
You're at 6. Yeah, you're at 6.
Yeah.
And then you didn't count Houston, so you got 7. Yep.
The Rams, I think, is
they're not. Yeah, don't count them out. Even if they are coming to MetLife, that doesn't matter. So
it's listen, the games aren't played on paper, and the schedule, the records aren't determined, on Labor Day weekend. The game's got to be played, so anything can happen. But yeah, listen, I think that we're going into this season. I think we're going into the season healthy. I think we're going into the season kind of flying a little bit, less in the bright lights in big city, a little more under the radar than we were last year, right? And I like it that way. I think we have a good chance, but I wanted to get your kind of take on this matchup, like certain matchups here that we have with San Francisco. Like, Dylan, talk to me on if you're Jeff Ulbrich, if you're the defense coordinator, how are you attacking? What are you doing? How are you game planning to kind of shut this San Francisco defense down? Listen, truth be told, the Jets defense, their whole concept is don't let up the splash plays, right? Nothing big. Keep everything in front of you, tackle everything in front of you, so on and so forth. You got to pick and choose, I think, and here in who you're going to pay a little bit more attention to, and who you're going to double up on, or where you're going to swing, where you're going to swing the coverage towards. So I would love for you to dissect for me how, if you're the Jets defensive coordinator, that's a great pass right there by Mahomes. If you're the defensive coordinator, how you're attacking this San Francisco offense.
So I don't have the game on. I feel like if I put
that was just like premium textbook Patrick Mahomes right there.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Three of them. I had him. And you miss him.
When Kelsey somehow gets open, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry, Dylan. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. No. I mean, if I'm Ulbrich, I'm like Sauce said in his interview in the offseason, I would shadow him. I'd probably choose Ayuk. I know there was some people on Twitter in the Jets community that called Ayuk a wide receiver 2. I don't think that's true. He's a wide receiver 1, even on his own team. I think he's better than Debo as like a pure wide receiver. Obviously, Debo could be a better talent, a better player, better football player on offense, like an offensive weapon, so to speak. But I think Ayuk is just as much a wide receiver as Debo. So I'm probably shadowing Ayuk despite the rust that he probably has from sitting out a couple weeks or, however long he hasn't been in camp. So that's the first order of business is shadow Ayuk. Fire up Quinnen against Dominic Pooney. I know that's your guy, and I don't want to talk badly about him, but like when you're a rookie, the first guy getting circled in those meetings is the rookie. So like they're going to try to, manipulate him a lot. So that's the other matchup. And then the biggest one for me is you're going to have to choose to silence Kittle or McCaffrey. And I think you put Quincy on McCaffrey as much as you can in your man-to-man situations and not CJ Mosley. I feel like CJ Mosley might get lost in that with his lack of speed, I should say. So Quincy would be the guy that I man up on McCaffrey. And then as far as Kittle, I don't know. So we haven't seen much from the safeties, so it makes me kind of worried. But I mean, Chuck Clark is the box guy, so you'd have to think like anything short he would cover. But maybe Ashton Davis on George Kittle. Like, I don't know. Like that's the one that trips me up because the tight ends get to the Jets a lot. And I feel like that's like the area of weakness where silencing Kittle is not going to be easy in this game.
I'm telling you, and I've thought about this one a lot also, and I'm glad you brought it up. I think the fit for Kittle is Tony Adams. and it might entail
Okay.
playing a 3 nickel set, or like a big nickel set, or having 3 safeties on the field. Sands maybe one of the interior guys, or so on and so forth, or maybe even Chuck Clark playing single high, or in a 2 deep shell with with somebody else back there. But I think that Tony Adams is probably the best man-to-man coverage between the coverage player between the linebackers and the DBs. I mean, I know he's given up a lot of size to Kittle, but if you're going to kind of hone in on that, you might want to put Tony Adams on him, give him help over the top. At least that's what that's kind of what I'm thinking. Let Tony Adams kind of play more of that typical on paper strong safety, and let Chuck Clark play a little bit of split safety with somebody else back there. Big nickel is going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think you're going to see a lot of quick hitters. I think you're going to see Brock Purdy getting, because of the push that we're going to get internally. I think you're going to see a lot of quick hitting, get the ball out in space to McCaffrey and to the other guys, and Debo, and let them make moves in space. A lot of horizontal plays, a lot of mesh concepts, so on and so forth, with your occasional, your sail tied in there, or something, something deep hidden that, maybe you get some broken coverage on, so on and so forth. But
I think it's fair about Adams, though, because I mean, as much as we don't really know, we haven't seen the biggest sample size of him, and they bubble wrap him every preseason. They like him, so I feel like that's a good point, that he'll probably get the first crack at it, at least to cover the hotshot tight ends of the opposing teams. I know Sauce did cover Mark Andrews in that 2022 matchup, his first game of his NFL career, actually. So I know he did that before, but I feel like when you have a guy like Ayuk, you got to keep him out there on him, because I'm not saying DJ Reed can't do it, but you want DJ Reed to lock down the other side, so that they have to throw it to Ayuk. And I was saying it last night on our show, you have to throw more to Sauce's side if you're playing against the Jets. That's one thing that's going to happen this year, because DJ Reed still gets his. And if shadowing the number one receiver with Sauce is what they want to do, you're going to have to throw it to Sauce if you want to feed your number one guy. And the quarterbacks always try to do that.
Yeah, I still don't think that you're going to see a lot of Sauce traveling with any of the receivers, whether it's Ayuk.
I don't think so either, but
I don't think so, because there's too many other weapons and opportunities that you could do. If you wanted to avoid Sauce, that's fine. All right, so he's gonna take away Ayuk out of the game. Ayuk's gonna be the decoy, but you still have Kittle, you still have Debo Samuel, you still have Christian McCaffrey. So on and so forth. So to me, I think it's probably better. Listen, the Jets don't play, they don't disguise a lot of blitzes here and there. I think they blitz very third downs. They'll bring they'll create some pressure, bring in a linebacker or something like that. But how they want to play defense. They want to drop 7 back and sit in their zones and keep everything underneath them, and make plays on the ball that way. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this is a challenge. This is a challenge, because, in those situations where you do want to bring, you do want to send Quincy, or you do want to send CJ, up the mug. You got to account for who's going to cover Kittle, who's going to cover. I'm not worried about necessarily. Debo, you got Michael Carter there. They can probably, he could probably hammer that out. If Michael Carter's out wide, you're not worried about the boundary cornerbacks. But Kittle's a worrisome one,
Yeah.
And I don't want to see Quincy. I don't want to see Quincy or CJ Mosley locked in one-on-one on George Kittle, because I think that's just disadvantageous.
No, you definitely need a safety over a back for sure.
Yeah,
I agree. No, we only got a few minutes left in the show, and Dylan, I saved this for you. I didn't ask anybody else this.
Oh, let's go.
This question. Okay. So, we have, it looks like the Jets have made a decision to build this team around the potential to ground and pound and wear teams down. Right. So we have Braylon Allen behind the potentially great Breece Hall, and Isaiah Davis in there as well. Do you see them, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, really, we know Brees is going to get his touches, whether that's in the passing game or running the ball. Do you see Braylon Allen in particular being used as a somewhat of a focal point, or as, at least a regular contributor in game one? And then even expand that after you answer that into this season. Like, what do you see the role for Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis this year?
Yeah, so it's hard to put it in to just like the one game sample size of the 49ers, but I do think he will have an involvement. If I were to put like a pie graph up of like a percentage of carries, I would say Brees would get 55% of the running back carries. And then what is that? 25% going to Braylon Allen. Maybe let's say 30% going to Allen, and then a 10% going to Isaiah Davis. I don't think they're going to phase out Isaiah Davis. There's no way with his physical style, you're not going to want him in on even a 3rd and 1 if like everybody's tired or banged up. Even late in the season, he's going to get his. But Braylon Allen, I feel like he should have a role right out the gates. And I'm not saying, week 1, fire him up in your fantasy lineups, but I was able to snag Braylon Allen in all 3 of my fantasy leagues. And it was, closer to the end of the entire draft. And I'm like, why are all these RB2s going ahead of Braylon Allen? It doesn't make sense to me, especially because if like you get Breece Hall at the 3rd overall pick, why wouldn't you pick up Braylon as a handcuff? So I don't know. I was really fired up to get him in fantasy, but in terms of real life, he's too special not to, keep off the field. They're going to run that pony package. They're going to try to find ways to get him involved, whether they split Breece out and keep him in, or vice versa, honestly. The only practice I went to this year, Braylon ran a route on air. It was on the far field, so I couldn't really see who threw the pass to him, but he reached back and caught it one hand on a quick slant, and I was like, oh, man, we have something special in zero. And he's obviously doing the special teams work, but that's probably more just like due diligence on like getting used to everything at practice. But I think he's going to be special, and I'd say like 25 to 30% of the share shouldn't be, unrealistic for him moving forward. Week 1, maybe 5 to 7 touches, and Breece gets, the majority of the work because they want to showcase him, and they're really going to lean heavy on the run game. Honestly, like if Rodgers had 35, attempts in this game, I would be surprised. Like that's a lot of attempts for him to throw in this game, and it probably means that we're losing in the second half.
That's a good point, man. And I'm excited about these guys too. Again, not to say I'm not looking for, I'm not even interested in the idea of them like somehow overtaking Breece or anything like that, but to be a part of the offense, I think, look, their running style, their willingness to block, whether that's in pass protection or, needed downfield, but also they both have the ability to be a factor in the passing game. In Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen, they both have nice hands, pretty reliable. And look, getting a running back in space, if you can get a running back the ball, 8 yards down the field, 6 yards down the field, get them going. I mean, there's nothing better, in my opinion. Just, getting the nice little pass to the running back and watching them start picking up speed, especially a guy like a Braylon Allen. Man, that's some good ass football. From my perspective, my old man perspective, get a running back going, buddy, and watch him just lay people out at the end of the run. So I'm happy to hear you say that. I'd also like how you said I wouldn't necessarily fire him up in your fantasy league yet, or anything like that. But that doesn't mean that they can't have their impact, and I'm excited about them. I want to dovetail that with one more question, but I also want to acknowledge Sam Aiken as the newest GreenBeaner, but only for a moment, because then Sam Aiken turns around and he gifts 5 memberships.
Wow, look at him.
So 6 straight memberships for Sam Aiken. Now his gifts will go to the one and only Eric Craig, the one and only Infrared, the one and only Dakota. Look at this group. Bill and Oscar the Grouch. What a great group of gifted memberships we have there. Thank you so much, Sam. The support is appreciated. Speaking of support, don't forget I have pinned to the top of the chat the link to donate to the Wayward Jets Fan Fund, where we are trying to get as many Jets fans to their first ever home game from all over the country. Our first one up, and we almost have enough to get him to MetLife, is Wyatt, the Wyoming Jets fan, to his first ever home game. So if you want to contribute to that, please, you can click the link there at $1, $10, $2,000, whatever you want to donate is appreciated. And believe me, it helps. It all adds up. If you want to donate tickets, which we did receive last time we did this, you can DM me on Twitter. If you want to be a recipient of one of these tickets, you can also DM me on Twitter as well, being the Jets fan. And thanks to everybody who already supported. We are right there on the threshold. We have more than enough to get his ticket, and we're working on the flight now. So what we're doing is we're getting them ticket to the game and, airfare from wherever they are in the country, and then they have to take care of room and board and that kind of thing. But it's a great help. So
That's
thank
incredible.
you to all who do. Yeah, it's a good one, right, man? So I want to dovetail my previous question with, what do you expect from Malachi Corley? Mike Williams is on his pitch count. We got Alan Lazard. We don't know what this is. Jets fans hated him. Then he did a couple things in practice. And I'm like, maybe he's going to be all right with Rodgers again. But realistically, he's not a number 2. So what do you see from Malachi Corley? Can he fill a role? Is he going to contribute? Is he going to be a healthy scratch? Where do you stand with Corley?
Well, I feel like I should preface all this by saying that he was like my draft crush. So when we got him, and then I found out that we were trying to trade up, 18, 20 picks to go get him, I was like, all right, there's too much love here. So I was way over my skis in the summertime about Corley, saying, he was going to be contender for offensive rookie of the year, probably 1,000 total yards. It's probably not going to happen. And my expectation right now is that he was Rodgers' best kept secret throughout the month of August, because he had like 7 targets or 7 catches on 10 targets, maybe like 50 yards. Like, he didn't really do much, but I feel like they're going to have to, scheme him in a way that's not so obvious, because if you just put Malachi Corley out there and you say, all right, go run a jet sweep motion and we're going to give you the ball, defenses are going to key in on that every time. So you're going to have to play him as a slot receiver like they want to do with Xavier Gibson, but then you also have to do the gadget stuff with him. So it's going to be very interesting. He's kind of like a wide receiver 3-4 tweener right now, it seems. And I feel like you could probably start him day one over Gibson and not many people would bat an eye. But that's to say, like, we haven't seen anything with Rodgers. So my expectation is maybe like 600 total yards for him now on the season, like hovering around 5 or 6 total touchdowns. I feel like that's fair. He's kind of in that tier of like Brees, Garrett, and Conklin are probably your top 3 guys, or Mike Williams and then Conklin, and then after that, your second tier is, Gibson, Corley, Lazard, maybe, like those guys. So I feel like he's kind of hovering in that realm of yardage and production output that we don't know, but it could be anywhere from 500 to 700 yards based on what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. But the yards add up quick, and I don't think he throws for over 4,000. So if Malachi got maybe 450 passing or receiving and 150 rushing, I think that'd be pretty solid for him.
So he's the secret weapon. We've held him back, and we don't want to show anybody. Yeah. I like this. I like it. I know. I very rarely. I've said that a whole bunch of times. I want you to know that, Billy. I've said it about a whole bunch of players a whole bunch of times. Very rarely have I been correct. But I'm buying it. I'm right there with you. We've been holding them back. We're gonna watch them explode, and to great effect. That's gonna be fantastic. Before I let you go, I want to end the poll. We asked just straight up, do you think the Jets are going to win Monday night? And then I'll ask you this question as well. 82% of the Jets fans in the chat said yes. 17%, but don't forget that includes asshole Modine, who's in here. He definitely voted no. So it's skewed a little bit. So it could be a little higher. But so 17% said no. 82% said yes. We're going into San Fran, coming out with a victory. Dylan Terraman of Jetnation Radio, what do you think will happen Monday night?
So as I hopped in backstage, I heard the last little bit of Buffalo, and I'm not going to steal what he said, but I do think the Jets lose. My prediction score wise would be 21-17. I'm not even. It's going to sound pessimistic regardless of how I put it. It's more of like I need to just see a whole game of Jets football with Aaron Rodgers before I can go back, analyze it, breathe for a second, and be like, okay, these are my expectations. So to say you have a loss against the NFC representative of the Super Bowl last year, it doesn't really, affect me. When the schedule came out in April or May, we all were like, okay, we're going to start 0-1. And then as the season kind of built up, we got closer and we're like, no, fuck that. We're gonna win. Like, we're gonna get there. Like, the spread shouldn't be 4.5, and like 4.5 seems like where it kind of should be now that Trent's back, Ayuk's back, McCaffrey's limited with the calf injury, but I mean he's gonna give it a shot. Like, he's gonna go. No, so JT O'Sullivan calls them the Avengers. Brock Purdy's Avengers. So like that's kind of what they are. So it's a tough task. So 21-17 is what I'm predicting this week.
All right, I no longer like you.
Yeah, we can't even get to 20 points again. God dang it.
I know, right? Yeah,
Jesus
I know. Come on.
And I used 21 for the 49ers because of that stat that Damian Woody pulled. That's like Rodgers is 35-2 since 2016 when his defense holds the team to under 20 points. So I just went 21 just to be like, the stat like lives on. But it's just a crazy record that Rodgers could even do that with what he had in Green Bay. So I wouldn't be surprised if like midway in the fourth quarter, the Jets are up by 8, 9, 10 points even, honestly. Like, that's my hopeful expectation. But 21-17, nail biter, something happens weird. We're going to bitch about the refs, Tuesday morning, I'm sure. Something dumb. Maybe Nate Hackett. Something's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, look, it's going to be a tough task. That I think, and like I think you put it well. We don't really know what this offense looks like. Right. We do know what the San Francisco offense looks like. That said, I see Brock Purdy with the pressure up the middle in particular all day long. I think it's not to say it's going to be every play, but I think a large portion of the game we're not even going to have to worry about what's going on in the back because Brock Purdy is going to be running for his life in the front. So that's what I see going on. I think that's how we win this game. But hey,
can I sneak in a bold game prediction? Just one.
Yeah.
Javon Kinlaw, 1.5 sacks.
There you go. I'm in.
Bet the over, baby. Bet the over.
I love it. Just for this game, I love it. Yeah, fire him up.
Yeah, man, he's going to be fired up.
Bad pick. Bad pick.
Oh, I love it. I love it for him. I love this for him.
Mahomes threw a pick.
Me too.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw a tweet that he's now the Chiefs' leading passer all time in terms of yardage, and I'm like,
yeah, it happened like midway through the first quarter, which is ridiculous.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, that's special. Crazy. But all right, guys, that is our show. I wanted to Michael Piper saying you suck. I wanted to make sure I got that up there, Dylan. But hey, it's being realistic. This is going to be a tough one, man. I do hope the Jets. I know we all do. We hope the Jets go in there and come out with a victory. I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring the show. Don't forget about the link in the description to get yourself a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Up to $2,000. Take those odds. Bet on the Jets if you got some gumption, because that's a scary proposition right there. But take a look at the site. You can have a little fun. But Dylan, what do you got coming up, buddy? You got anything you want us to know about?
Yeah, I mean, just Jetnation every week. You can follow us on Jetnation on YouTube, Twitter. You can follow me directly at DTerman on Twitter and Instagram. I'm getting back into it. I'm back like in my home studio, so I have all my resources again this year. I'm doing my play charting. I've been doing it for the last 3 seasons, charting every single play. It's a bit exhausting when Zach Wilson's the quarterback, but I'm fired up to hopefully do a full season of Aaron Rodgers play charting. So I'm hopefully going to be sharing a lot more of that type of content on my Twitter feed. So check out for that at DTerman again on Twitter.
Fantastic. And listen, Dylan, thank you so much for hopping on, man. I'm going to let you go, but it's going to be a fun season, and we'll talk some more.
I appreciate it. Bean, Gunny, Dom.
Later, Dylan. We're going, Dylan.
Later.
Have a good night, buddy. With that all said, let's go around the house here. Gunny, what do you got? What do you want to tell everybody about? Muscle shirts you're selling, or what's going on, bud?
Yeah, so right now we're just going through, I guess you can say, the sample stage, right? Looking at some of the ones that Jessica put together. Her and my daughter have kind of put a couple of shirts together, some gear, working on getting to that particular point. But right now, I got an article out that I think y'all should check out. It's right there on my YouTube channel. It's talking about the Aaron Rodgers experiment and how this formula really is a proven one in order to go ahead and get to a Super Bowl. Check that out. But then I realized something. Most individuals apparently just like videos on YouTube. So I'll probably be doing a video on that tomorrow and putting it out to go ahead and make your lives a lot easier. And my prediction video for, of course, the AFC East outcomes for the first week of the season will be coming out either tomorrow or Saturday. So be on the lookout for that.
There you go. Go to Gunny's YouTube page and read. There you go.
When you say it that way.
I know. I'm just fucking with you. Dom, what do you got coming up, my friend?
Yeah, every Monday you can catch Ryan and I on the Talking Jets show. This Monday, we haven't decided. Obviously, the Jets are playing, and we're not going to go on during the Jet game, so we haven't decided if we're going to move it earlier, if we're just going to push it to a different day this week. But that
earlier, buddy.
That is going to be every Monday. You can obviously catch me here on Thursdays, and there is some content coming back out on my channel, Project Prospect with Dom C. Just some early draft content for those nerds like me. I got a good in-depth film breakdown and scouting report for the really big Arizona wide receiver Tet McMillan, 6'5", 212. He's a monster. A really good one too. So so I got some of that content coming out slowly. I got some other stuff in the pipe, which I'm very excited to announce soon enough. So it's all good stuff.
All right, awesome, man. You check out Dom at Project Prospect with Dom C. Gunny New York Jets Situation Report. And again, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. With that all said, everybody, that is the end. Our last Thursday thick of it of the off season. From now on, we're talking about Jets football, baby.
I like that.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. Give me those milk thumbs. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. It is greatly appreciated. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game. Hello?
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.